I know what I was going to tell you about. Well, have a chat about transport. Often overlooked, the logistics of getting stuff from one theatre to the next, stuff like that. Meanwhile, do you know what as well? I just remembered at Torquay, coming back, a coat full of money. When I was doing that, another thing, see, I got back, I had all this cash, had to do time slips, pay slips and everything, and my room was a mess, the office was a mess, so I had a good clear out, cleaned everything off the desk, got down, counting out big piles of money for people, did all that, shoved me in the envelopes, bada bing, bada bing. Next day came in, and somebody came in and said, a sound bloke came and said, have you got the radio mics? What? Well, the radio mics, we left them in your office for safekeeping. And in my head, I had this dim recollection of just clearing the desk so I could get on with the admin of putting money in envelopes. What I'd done, it transpired, was throw all the radio mics in the bin. And the cleaners had been. So we had to get some more of those. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is transport. Now, the first tour I ever did was started at York. I was at York with my mate Blair, who, hands up, Blair got me my first gig in the theatre, working at the Theatre Royal in York. So we were both there crewing, and this show came in from the English Shakespeare Company, which was a theatre company run by Kate O'Mara and Peter Woodward. And they were going to go on a national tour with some Shakespeare. They started in York, and their set was frankly crap. Really crap. It made the Teletubbies mound look really professional. Anyway, I said to them, that's a piece of crap. That'll fall apart if you take it on tour. Why don't you employ me and Blair as ASMs? We'll come with you, technical ASMs. I'll rebuild the set as we go, because it's going to need it, because it's not going to last. And I badgered her all week. I was like, Kate, take us on tour with you. Go on. Your set's going to fall to bits. On the last day, the Saturday, the last day they were at York, they called me and said, all right, we'll take you off. Which meant we would get an equity contract, which meant we would get our provisional equity cards, which was hot stuff in those days. So anyway, yeah, we were going to go on tour with them, which was nice. They were doing, what is it, the one with Charles the Wrestler? They're all in a forest, big hearty people. Anyway, them. The bloke they got to play the wrestler, a bloke called Steve Clegan, a large man, he looked like a wrestler. But he got the gig, and they said, the thing is, you have to drive the lorry as well. Which Blair and I were relieved about, because we didn't want to drive the lorry, because we'd seen it. It was this crap old ex-furniture removal van, and it was a bit shit, to say the least. I did have a go in it, but yeah. Anyway, Steve Cleveland had to drive it. So finished in York, packed everything into the back of the van. Most of the set was actually silver birch tree, which had been blown down in the storms of 1987. And that was just there as the middle of the thing. It had a cyc round it. It was all very atmos. It was lovely. Anyway, that went in the van. Got to the first venue, which I think, I can't remember where it was. Might have been Dartford or somewhere. Who knows? Anyway, got there, waiting for the van. Sunday morning. That's me. That action there. That's me looking at my watch, thinking, "Where's the van, Hank? Where is that bloody van?" Eventually, it turned up. There was a lorry came with all the stuff in, and then a low loader with our 7.5 ton X removal lorry on the back. It had blown up. So we got. It had still had stuff in, but it hadn't all fitted. That was it. We'd had to get another lorry. We'd had to get Paul Matthews' lorry for the extra bit of set that didn't fit. It was carnage. So it turned up. We emptied our broken down truck, all the stuff out of that. Then it went off to be mended, and then they opened the back of the Paul Matthews' lorry. And from what I can remember, there was a park-out bar in there, and there were suits and costumes. That was it. Ridiculous. 40-foot trailer with. It's stuff you could have fitted it in the back of my car. Anyway, you know. So that arrived. Then the 7.5 ton truck got mended. Next week, we're going to the next venue. Didn't turn up again. What's happened this time? And he did turn up eventually. He was a little bit late. What happened to you? He said, oh, well, I was filling up with petrol, diesel, and got stuck under the canopy at the petrol station. So evidently what he'd done, he'd got a bit stuck. So rather than carefully going back out the way he had gone in exactly, he panicked and steered wildly and reversed out, pulling the roof off the petrol station. Wasn't good. So anyway, a bit of a pattern was forming now. We went, that van, eventually it all was mended, much money flowed. Anyway, then we went to Norwich. Got to Norwich, truck was late. By this time, we were saying, well, of course he's late. He's always late. He'll have hit something. Eventually he turned up. All right, what happened this week? And he said, well, I parked because I got to Norwich, so I lost my bearings, looking at the map, see where to go, and then I had to turn around. So I turned around and someone had parked behind me and I hadn't seen him. He drove over someone's car. A man had stopped innocently enough to walk his dog, got out of his car, locked it assiduously and walked away. And as he walked away, Steve Kligerman reversed and lorry over, squashing the car. Didn't look good. Anyway, that was just that truck. Subsequently, Blair and I both did actually have to drive this. Memorably, we once had to drive it from London back up to York. And as we left London, it became apparent that it had a flat tyre. It had double wheels on the back, and one of the wheels had gone flat. So we stopped at South Means Services in the lorry park. We got out and asked around, from what I remember, to get some tips. The lorry driver said, oh yeah, what you want to do is reverse, put a brick on the floor, reverse onto the brick, because we haven't got a jack, that is, we couldn't jack it up. Fucking lorry anyway, of course we couldn't jack it up, but we couldn't. Reverse it onto a brick with the tyre that was still inflated, and the one that wasn't inflated would then be off the ground, and we could use the tyre lever, which we, wheel wrench thing, which we did have, to undo the things, take the wheel off, get it mended. So we put the thing on, couldn't undo it. Blair and I, between us, we both tried jumping on it, nothing worked. Tried and tried. Eventually we thought, do you know what? Sod this, what can go wrong? So we just drove off. Put the wheel wrench thing back in the cab, drove off. Drove all the way to York, stopping briefly at one point to pick up two girl hitchhikers. And I'm ashamed to say, actually, we picked them up and realised that they were horrible. They were really horrible. So we came off the motorway at the next junction after we picked them up. Went round the roundabout saying, I'm really sorry girls, this is where we get off the motorway, sorry. So we dropped them off, drove round the roundabout, past them, back onto the motorway and carried on. When we got back to York, I don't know, I might have got the order of some of this wrong, but Blair had to drive the lorry somewhere. And I was at home and I heard on the local news that the trains had all stopped running out of York Central Station. Which I thought, oh, I wonder why that is. Then it was on the local news. It transpired there was a small van, well, truck, an ex-removals truck actually, stuck under the bridge outside York Station. And so they had to stop all the trains. They got about 20 people to go and stand in the back because it wasn't loaded, it was empty, that was the thing. Blair got it wedged under the bridge. Got a load of people to stand in the back, didn't work. In the end, I think they had to let the tyres down in order to get it out from under the bridge. See, I didn't do anything like that when I drove it. Oh, that was the thing, when we drove up from London, the other thing Blair and I couldn't work out was the air brakes, when you go shh, when the brakes come on. Couldn't work out which way was on. That should have told us something about the state of this truck. Anyway, so we drove with it in either position, it didn't seem to make any difference. When I then had to drive the truck round York on my own, I may have, inadvertently, in a narrow side street, have gone round a bend and gently bashed the side off a car. But there's no proof. And when, about 18 months later, the police came and saw me about this and said the road it had happened in and the witness they had, turned out they got the wrong road name. The road they said it had happened in doesn't exist. So there you go. Anyway, not all lorries are as crap as that one. Some are quite good. But that was just to give you an idea. You know, it's not all flash Paul Matthews trucks. It's some things are done on a lot smaller scale.